Welcome to Homefront Sit Rep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find Homefront Sit Rep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out Homefront Sit Rep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Out on the edge of the battle and back, we've carried the weight and we've walked every track. From desert dust to the fire at home, we've learned how to fight, how to stand alone. But no one tells you what comes after the war. When silence is louder than the guns we bore, that's where we speak, that's where we heal. With stories too real for Hollywood reels. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see. We're warriors to battle just differently. This is our check-in, our voice, our step. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. For the fallen, the fighting, and those who came home. For the brothers and sisters who still feel alone. We're holding the line with truth and respect. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. For the fallen, the fighting, and those who came home. For the brothers and sisters who still feel alone. We're holding the line with truth and respect. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. It ain't all medals and waving flags. There's pain in the silence and weight in the bags. But we've got a mic and a mission to share, to tell the damn truth, cause somebody's gotta care. We laugh, we cry, we cuss, we pray. We honor the ones who ain't here today. From basic to battle and back to the block, this is our rhythm, our round table talk. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see. We're warriors to battle just differently. This is our check-in, our voice, our step. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. Still heavy in dreams out of reach, for the lessons the textbooks could never teach. We're sounding off, no filter, no prep. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. So if you've worn the boots or love someone who did, if you swallowed your hurt and kept it all hid, pull up a chair, you're not alone. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see, where courage meets scars and raw honesty. This is our anthem, our truth intercept. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. For the ones still standing and those we've lost yet, for every single story we'll never forget. We speak so others won't forget. This is the Homefront Sit Rep podcast. Real talk, real vets, real life. Homefront Sit Rep podcast, where the mission continues.
Welcome everybody to a Sunday edition of Homefront Sit Rep. Hopefully everybody's doing good. Gunny's not here tonight, unfortunately. But if you are the praying type, go ahead and say a prayer for Gunny. He's not doing too good right now. So give him a prayer if you're the praying type. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. But how was everybody's Thanksgiving, man? My daughter came in from college, and then she headed back on Sunday night. So I went to Mom's, took the family down to Mom's on Thanksgiving Day, spent the day with Mom and the family there. Came back home, had a lazy day afterwards. And then on Sunday, the wife and her family came over. I did a deep fried turkey. Man, it turned out phenomenal. I wish Gunny was here to hit the phenomenal button, but yeah, it turned out phenomenal. Great day with family on Sunday as well. And then went to work today, and it was freezing cold outside, but it's going to be even colder tomorrow, which hopefully, we get that snow and I'll be sitting in the office all day long. So I'll be able to get to update some stuff there on the website and stuff while I'm sitting in the office for 8 hours, depending on how much snow we get here and in our area. I'm going to give a big shout out to Mr. Troy Stout, Martin Ty Cobb, Cade on TikTok. Just want to give you all a big shout out there for watching. If you're watching and you ain't said hello over here in chat, make sure you go say hello. Man, I tell you what, we have a great guest tonight. I met Matthew back in October at the Mogadishu Mile, Kentucky event. Um, eh, Man, let me tell you, just to see what Matt was doing and his determination, his grit that he had, uh, man, it was just so inspiring. And if you don't know Matt's story, you're going to find out his story here shortly. But um, you need to go follow him on all social media platforms, man. Let me tell you, um, it's just amazing to see this guy, this Marine, adapt and overcome the challenges that he faces on a day-to-day basis. And if you know anything about Marines, we're stubborn, we're hard-headed, and we love to adapt and overcome. And Matt is the true definition of adapting and overcoming um, life. Um, it's just amazing. Uh, it's just amazing to see him and his positive outlook on life, because there's so many people out there that just give up, and we can't do that in life. We can't do that. If you let your brain uh, overrun your heart, then that's just not what we need to do in life. We need to keep pushing forward and do what we're here for. We all have a mission. Don't know what that is, but we all have a mission. Like my mission right now is this podcast. It has been for the last 3 years. It's my therapy. It keeps me going. And Matt's mission is to. We'll let Matt tell you what his mission is. Um, but Matt has touched a lot of people's lives, and I tell you what, when I first met him, it, boy, I was like, "Yep, yep, that's the man right there." So, um, but yeah, Gunny, we're praying for you. You got prayers coming in from across the country and across the other side of the pond. So, hopefully, you get feeling better in the next few days, and you get to break free of the kidnappers at the hospital. So, we'll definitely keep praying for you, Gunny. But how was everybody's Thanksgiving? I know mine was amazing. Had, like I said, a great time with family and stuff like that. So I hopefully everybody out there, whether you're on TikTok, whether you're here on one of the three Facebook pages, LinkedIn or YouTube, wherever you're watching from, make sure you say hello. Um, but are y'all ready to meet Corporal Matthew Bradford? Are you guys ready? I hope you are. Let's bring him up to the stage. Welcome to the show, Matt. How are you, sir?
Doing very good. Thanks for having me.
Man, thank you. Uh, Thank you for coming and hanging out with us for this hour. I know you're a busy man. Gunny kept telling me, man, he's busy. It's gonna be hard to tie him down. And of course, reaching out to you and getting everything scheduled. It was a little bit of complication, but we got it, and we got you on here, and we're gonna learn all about Corporal Matthew Bradford. So thank you for taking time out of your day to come hang out with me. Unfortunately, Gunny can't make it, but do me a favor, introduce yourself to the world of Homefront Sit Rep if you don't mind.
Yeah, I know this date worked out perfectly. My wife and daughter flew to Turks and Caicos this morning, and I ended up staying home to deal with these colder temperatures, the same that you got in your area. But my name's Matthew Bradford. I'm 39 years old now. I live here in Nicholasville, Kentucky. Um, I'm going to school at Asbury at the seminary, but graduated from University of Kentucky in 2017. You talk about mission, our life's mission, and it's like I feel like my mission in my life, the purpose of living is just one detour after the next. And I realize every morning is an empty page, to go out there and do what I can to fill that page. And when the day's over, the next day's here, I turn to a new page. I don't really have a purpose or a mission. I just do, wake up every day. I think that's the ultimate purpose and the ultimate mission is just to wake up every day, to have a smile on your face, to understand that you're going to face the obstacles of life. But just like in the Marine Corps, like we're built with all these different types of, values and the grit and the strength, to help you overcome those battles and stuff every day that we face. And I feel like that's just my purpose and mission. And I joined because of September 11th, as a freshman in high school, just down the road in Winchester, Kentucky, and that's kind of where this journey began. Nothing special, just being a Marine. And I went off to war, which is what I wanted to do. And my life ultimately changed on January 18th, 2007. And I'll let you take over from there, because I'm sure that's probably where a lot of this conversation is going to go. Because anything before January 18th, I was just living my life as a teenager. I loved this life. I you know put my mind to something. I went out and did it.
Yeah. So you here you are. You're born and raised in Kentucky. 9/11 happened, like a lot of the generation that was after my generation, because I was at the tail end of my Marine Corps service when 9/11 happened. A lot of military guys out there, whether Army, Navy, whatever branch they went into, signed up because of 9/11, and that's kind of where you came into. Now, what was your MOS while you were in the Marine Corps? What did you go in for?
So to go back, like I was born in Virginia, raised in Kentucky, and I had divorced parents, so I kind of went back and forth a lot. But
Okay.
so like here in Kentucky, like I love living here, but I started dealing with a lot of issues and lack of stability, lack of structure. And then my granny stepped in and told my dad, "Hey, he needs to come live with you." And my dad's from Kentucky, but he worked in Virginia at Fort Lee. He worked on an army base, and this is just after my freshman year in high school when 9/11 happened. And from that point forward, seeing the soldiers going to the mall, going to my dad to work on a military base, and like, shortly after 9/11, Black Hawk Down come out. So it's like, I just want to join the military. I want to go to war. I wanted to go fight those guys that were responsible for 9/11. So I looked at the Army, I looked at the Air Force, because my dad, he was in the Air Force. And then ultimately I had some friends that were, or a delayed entry program, United States Marine Corps, and they got me in the recruiting office, and that's all it took. And, wanting to go to war, I knew that Marine Corps infantry would go over. They'll send you over. And the day that I signed up at the Met station, because I was already 18 years old, I didn't need parental signature. I chose 0311, and this is maybe like a week and a half after the second Battle of Fallujah. So it was a rough time in Iraq. And looking at the Army and the Air Force, it's just the pipelines, to get to war, was a lot longer, and I didn't want to miss the war either. So went off to Paris Island September 6th of 2005.
Mm. All right, so I was in Paris Island. Gunny and I, we met. So Gunny and I, we met in Paris Island. That's the first time we met, and that was June of 1997. And man, I if I could do it all over again, I would. I would definitely go back to Paris Island and do my service all over again. I wouldn't change a thing, because 0311 is what I went as well. Uh, I'm like you, but I knew at a very young age that I was going military. I didn't know what branch, but I knew I was going military, and my whole family was Army. So I kind of eliminated the Army early on, because I was like, well, I'm going to be something different. I'm going to do something different. So as I got older and I started seeing the different branches and learning more about them, I was like, all right, I'm going Marines. It's the best. That's that's where I want to go. I want to go infantry. I even walked into the recruiter's office, Gunny Groach, and I said, "Hey, Gunny, I want to be 0311." He goes, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, that's what I mean, I scored really high on the ASVAB." He said, "Dude, you can have any job in the Marine Corps you want." I was like, "Nope, I want to be 0311. That's what I want to do."
Mhm.
He goes, "Okay." And here I went. I went to Paris Island and did my time there. Got out right before 9/11. Then after 9/11 happened, I got recalled back in. It was the first time the Marine Corps ever activated the individual ready reserves.
Mhm.
And man, let me tell you, you guys that went in country full blast. I not really survivor's guilt for me, but I was like, man, I should be there, because I was recalled and they kept us on Camp Lejeune, even though they recalled us from our civilian job. They're like, hey, we're going to send you guys over, and then they're like, no, we're going to wait. So they kept us as a mobilization support battalion
Mhm.
there on Camp Lejeune. And basically what we were doing was the reserve units that were getting activated, they would come through Camp Lejeune. get their weapons and all of that through us there. And then got shipped from there. I was like, dude, just let me go with one of these units that are going. That's going. That's I'm like you. I signed up because I wanted to go get the bad guys. That's what I
Hmm.
wanted to do when I joined the Marines. Um, but your story took a detour. And I know if you're comfortable with talking about that day, that's up to you. You don't have to. We're not going to push it if you don't want to. But if you want to talk how your life took a drastic change, um, yeah, if you want to talk about that, we can talk about it. If not, we can move forward. It's up to you.
It's amazing going back to sending those yellow footprints, and I wouldn't go back and change it at all. And the one amazing thing about me joining and me signing up is a lot of those guys who stood in those yellow footprints with me went off to School of Infantry, went off to the same unit. I want to say probably 30 or 40 of us, went off. There's like 9 or 10 of us in the same company that I served in. And not to mention my senior drill instructor was a platoon sergeant in the same company I was in.
Oh
So it's
man,
like, that transition from training to being in the fleet, like it helped out a lot. And a lot of those guys, even one of them particular, it's amazing to think back that I met him at MEPS. We rode on a bus down to Paris Island, graduated, went to SOI together. We were in a different platoon, but same company. But then, on January 18th, he was one of the ones on QRF that carried me off the battlefield. And it's like to think about, like, we started before we even saw the yellow footprints, and here he is, carrying me off the battlefield. But I've learned through this, like, this detour of life, and where I put, January 18th is, it's my story, it's my life. And if you can't talk about it, then that you're just going to hold all that in, and that's just a burden that you're going to have to carry. And it was a rough day. I hate that it happened to me, but it led me to where I am today. And I wouldn't go back and change that at all either. Although I missed my guys that I served with, and I realized that, man, maybe my true purpose wasn't doing 20 years and deploying over and over again. Maybe it's this. Maybe God created me to not have legs, to go into hospital rooms, to go be around people, to change their lives, to make them smile, make them look at life differently. And that's what it was. And but anyways, going back, like, so September 6th, 2005, I was on the Yellow Footprints. In September of 2006, I was on a plane headed to Iraq. I mean, within a year, we basically did my training, went right into a unit workup, and then before we know it, we're headed to Iraq. And from day one, like, it's always put in our mind, like, hey, you're going to war. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, then we get to Hawaii, get to my unit, and they could call us up tonight. We could be on a plane tomorrow. Like, it was always just pushed at us, and that just made you, work harder, fight more, fight harder, be more motivated, because you realize that, hey, like, we might be here in Hawaii today, but we might be there in Afghanistan or Iraq tomorrow.
right.
And the so I was with Second Battalion, Third Marines. We were Echo Company. Um, it was we went off to Haditha, Iraq, up in the Al Anbar province. And I always remember when we were in Al Assad, there was a 3-3 Marine that was we were relieving 3-3, and he says, "I feel sorry for the stuff that y'all are about to get ready to get involved in." And at that time, it was just like, just hearing what he said, it didn't ring a bell. But then the minute we stepped foot into Haditha, it was just bullets flying all over us, IEDs, snipers. I think on average, the first 40 days we had a casualty in our company.
Mm,
We were the main element out of our battalion, so we were put into probably the more dangerous of the three towns that our battalion covered. And it was just, you start you start seeing your friends either go out on patrol, get into a firefight, and you start looking around to see who's not coming back. The briefing room, right before you exit the door, there was a sign on the left side of it, and it was like kind of the Casevac report. Oh, here's this guy. Here's his injury. Here's where he is now. Like, that's like one of the last things you see before you go on patrol.
mm,
And but you just learn that, hey, it's like, just do your job, to go out to fight. If it's your day, then it's your day. But make sure that you go out and do what you need to do to make sure you come back alive and the guys to your left and to behind you. I was a point man next to my team leader, Ryan Irving, and we hadn't so I mean, I'm pretty certain we probably got more firefights other than our mobile unit
Mm,
just on foot patrol. And it was just go out, get shot at, come back and at the end of the day, I always tell people, I'm like, when we didn't have our flak and Kevlars on, we were just 19, 20-year-old kids. We had our PSPs, we were joking around, we were, listening to music, we were having a good old time. Like our fob was in the middle of town. Like it got mortared every day. So it's like, and I think even before my injury, I realized that like I love these moments with these people I love. Like I want to cherish every moment I can. And there might be a mortar drop on this building and end all our lives. So I'm going to take advantage of like what moment I got right now. And there was actually he's one of my best friends. He was one of my groomsmen. He was out back of our hooch, and they dropped a mortar probably 30 yards behind our hooch. And our whole platoon was in there just kind of resting, hanging out. And when that mortar hit, I mean, it sounded like it went straight through the roof. Like we didn't
mm,
have to be told what to do. And if the insurgents knew how to aim just a little bit better, that was a whole platoon of Marines that could have been killed.
oh
But
man.
he got wounded because he was in between our hooch and where that mortar landed. And God was looking down on him because he came crawling in, and all he got was shrapnel in his calf.
Mm,
And it's like he went to Al Assad, he was back in a week. And it's like the things that could have happened, but it's just that was our life,
right.
for me from September to January. It was and really the first 3 months, we
And
oh, sorry.
no, you're good. I was just going to say, as Marines, that's what we're trained to do. When it comes to any kind of situation that we're in, just do our job and do it to the best of our ability. That way, we know that the Marine to the left, the Marine to the right of us is going is going to come home. That's what we're trained to do. And unfortunately, sometimes we do our job to the best of our ability, and sometimes our brothers to our left and right don't come home, or they um get injured and have to be medevaced out or whatnot. um and that's kind of your situation when you hit the IED that day. And which the insurgents were very intelligent and hid those things really, really well. I've seen some videos and stuff of where the IEDs were hidden and stuff like that, and it was just like, holy cow. And you couldn't tell that that pile of rocks was an explosive device, and it's just like, holy cow. So
And that's what it was, like the IDs and snipers. And we got thrown into a hornet's nest, and we pushed through and we fought through, and we lost a lot of blood. We lost a lot of guys. I think at our company, we had probably close to 60 Purple Heart recipients. 9 got killed,
mm,
and our mobile unit was combat ineffective after November 14th because they've lost so many guys that they couldn't even operate. This is a platoon squad or a platoon level, so they had to change out the mobile units. And it was about the 1st of December is when the tide started shifting to where the actual you know the actual people who live in Haditha were starting to interact with us. Like we're starting to like fight back the insurgents. We were pushing through, and like less firefights, less IDs. Like we were winning the battle. And our company commander, which he ended up receiving the Lethbridge Award as the
mm,
top company commander in the entire Marine Corps for this deployment, and is still a 1-star in the Marine Corps today. And but he pushed us so fast, the fast pace over and over again, and it's just putting Marines at every sector of that town. And it's I actually felt safer walking the streets in Iraq or in Haditha than I did in a vehicle, just because the threat of them throwing grenades at us, the IEDs, and all this stuff was thrown our way. And it's like, I mean, you're gonna get punched in so many different directions, but you know what? We started fighting back and punching back, and we let the enemy know that we were there to stay. And I, But even before I get to my injury, I'm always proud of, like, again, we lost a lot, but the unit that relieved us didn't lose anybody. So
Mm,
whatever we did, it worked. Um, but it's looking back on January 18th, 2007. This was a point in our deployment where I remember getting the phone to call home just before we got briefed to go on this patrol. I called my uncle. I was like, "Hey, yeah, we're starting to hear in that there's a advance coming in. Like the unit's getting ready to start relieving us, and we'll be headed out of here in a couple of weeks." And then hang up the phone and then head into the brief and go on this basic ID patrol. We're as point guys, like I'm always just looking around, basically from 12 o'clock to 3 to 4 o'clock, and rotating, moving around, doing all this stuff. And they always taught us to never walk in a straight line because of snipers, so we're always moving.
right.
And we take a right turn down this road that laid parallel to the Euphrates River. It was in the palm groves, and as I'm walking past this compound wall, there's this big opening with a bunch of palm trees, and probably off to my right, about 30 yards into this palm tree area, was a white bag leaned up against a tree. And like you said, how they mark IEDs is pretty phenomenal. But they also they put these indicators to mark where their ID is or where their weapons are placed. And seeing a white bag leaned up against a tree in the middle of this little an area, it's kind of suspicious. So I look to my left to tell my team leader to be on alert. I yell to the guys behind me, and then the minute I turn back around as I'm passing this compound wall, I look down and there's this ditch that went inside of a pipe underneath the road that was kind of perpendicular from where I was standing. And that's when I saw the command wires going inside the pipe.
Mm.
And by that time, it exploded directly underneath me. And it was my life went from light to dark. I was and kind of in and out of consciousness. I could hear my squad leader calling for QRF. I was going in and out of it, but I couldn't feel a thing. Like it happened so fast. And you know, I, for a few months later, I always had this like image in my head. I'm like, why do I keep seeing this white bag and these command wires? And I didn't realize it until a couple of months later when my guys got back that the Marine that was two people behind me, he said, "Yeah, the last thing that we heard out of you was you telling us about this white bag, be on alert," and then the explosion happened.
Mm.
And it just kind of put two and two together. But that Marine also, as I mentioned, we got in so many firefights over there. But every time we went out on patrol with 12 Marines or 13 or whatever it was, we always came back with the same amount until that day.
Mm.
So here I am, on the litter, waiting for QRF to show up. And at that time, my left leg was gone, my right leg was pretty much gone, my face looked weird, and all this damage. And this Marine, just my best friend, he just sat next to me and held my hand and talked to me because they didn't think I was going to make it out of there alive.
Mm.
Um, and I didn't realize it until just a few years later, because I didn't know this part, because at this time I'm passed out. And they took me back to Haditha to our battalion aid station was basically a closet, so they had to basically clear out the chow hall, put the tables together. They threw me up on the table and started doing care on me, waiting for the Blackhawks to get there, waiting for the medevac to get there. And one of the Marines, one of the platoon sergeants, Staff Sergeant Clark, he's just getting ready to retire as a master gunnery sergeant here in a few months. They was like, "Hey, just talk to him. You're a familiar voice. Just talk to him." And Staff Sergeant Clark was my senior drill instructor.
Mm.
So he just basically got as close as he could to my ear and would just start, "Bradford, you'll be fine. You'll be fine, Bradford." And those were the last words I heard. And it's amazing to look back to think my senior drill instructor, a guy who scared me to death in recruit training, who I remember a story. He was sitting on the quarter deck, and he says, "Hey, I got one more cycle of recruits after you all. Once they graduate, I'm headed off to Hawaii, and you'll never see me again." And like,
Mm. Mm.
we're thinking we're East Coast Marines, like we're not going to Hawaii. It's like if you're an East Coast Marine, you're pretty much going to be at Lejeune.
Right.
And then we realized, like, once we got to Hawaii, and he came a few weeks later, that holy crap, like, but his "You'll be fine, Bradford" was the last voice I heard. And then I was off. I was injured on the 18th of January. Went to Blood. I went to Launchstool, and then I went to Bethesda. And I think the 18th was on a Thursday afternoon. I was in Bethesda by Sunday evening,
Mm,
and
mm,
from that point forward, I was in a heavily sedated 3-week coma. Had a lot of brain swelling. They had to put tubes in every part of my body. They didn't want me to have like an aneurysm and stuff like that, but
right,
I kept trying to react and I kept trying to move around, and that was worse on me. But it was being in that 3-week coma, I lost so much weight. Even not only losing both my legs, like I was skinny as like pretty much a bell, a bed rail,
mm,
and and to wake up from that and be sent down to the fifth floor in Bethesda, to truly find out what happened to me and start this new, basically going from the lowest that I could possibly go to having to rebuild, re-strengthen myself to start over again.
right. And I guarantee that was a challenge when that first happened. Here you are, a hard charging Marine. You have your accident, and now you're happening to rebuild yourself basically from ground up, learning how to walk again and do all of these challenges that you faced. And I know a lot of veterans out there, a lot of military service members, they let the demons run free basically, and here you are, you now remolded yourself after having the accident and stuff like that, and you're rebuilding yourself, and then in April of 2010 you made history. You re-enlisted in the Marine Corps. Let's talk about that a little bit.
And looking back, it's amazing to think from where I was coming out of that coma to April of 2010, because you know I hated the way I woke up. Like, I did not want to be alive. Like, I wanted to go to war, and I was either going to come home with my brothers or not come home at all. Like, as a 20-year-old who had my whole life set on just being a Marine, deploying over and over again, and now I'm finding out that not what happened to me, that my team leader got injured. I was responsible for that ID. Like, I should have found that. I saw it one step too late. And then the day that my dad told me I lost both my legs and it's more than likely that I'll never see again, like, it wasn't so much the eyesight, it was like losing my legs. Like, you see this stuff on TV all the time in the news, the media, but you don't ever think it's going to happen to you, and I didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to eat food. Like, everything at that point, I just wanted to give up. If that ID didn't kill me, then I'm going to try to do it myself.
Right.
And, and as I mentioned, we had a lot of friends that served in the same company that, were wounded, and they were also in Bethesda. So it's having two of the Marines that were with me, that were injured a couple of months before I was, found out that there's another Echo Company Marine in the hospital. They made it a point to come see me because I didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't trust nobody. I didn't even like my parents were there. I didn't like anyone there. And I was very mad at the world. And but I trusted those two guys. One of them was shot in the head. One was severely injured and blown up. And it's
Mm,
like they're going through their own thing. But it's like it's amazing. Not only when they would come in there, but it's like I noticed that not only that, the corpsmen, the doctors, the family members, the people that visited Bethesda, like that were injured, like I didn't want them in there, but they kept coming back. And I realized, like, because I thought to myself a lot, and I was like, man, how am I going to do this? Like, am I ever going to be out of this hospital bed? Am I ever going to be a wheelchair? Am I ever going to walk? And then I realized, like, all these guys who lost limbs, who are dealing with their own issues, they did it. Why can't I? It's not the limitations or the restrictions of life. It's what you put on yourself. If you believe you can't do it, if you believe that everything's tough and you just want to give up, then that's how it's going to be. And I love music. And at this time, there was one song that came out. It was from Lone Star called Mountains. There are times in life when you got to learn how to crawl, lose your grip, trip, and fall. And in hearing those lyrics, I realized that, you know what, this might be one heck of a ride. It's going to be tough. There are going to be bad days. There's going to be a lot of bad days. But you know what? I want to stay in the Marine Corps. I want to be what these guys and girls are doing to me. And I know it's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of work. But I started putting in my head like, okay, what do I need to do to reenlist? Because I knew the Marine Corps had a program that they allowed Purple Heart recipients the opportunity to stay in the Marine Corps. That they'll find a job for you if you can't go back to your regular job. You could reenlist. You could stay as long as you want, and you could do whatever. So I knew it was out there for me. I'm like, well, first of all, I need to get strong enough. I need to get out of this hospital bed. Secondly, I need to learn how to walk. And then I'll figure out the eyesight, the blind stuff. And that's what I focused on. Like I didn't let like people kept telling us like, hey, why don't you get out of the Marine Corps? You'll make so much more money on the outside. I didn't join the military to make money. It's not
Right.
what I want to do. And in life, there's so many of those people that want you to live their version of life. I'm like, no, this is my life. I want to live my life the way I want it to. You could sit there and walk with me down this path, or you can just get away. And when my mindset started focusing in that direction, thinking more positively on things that I could do and the things that I want to do, then I started getting a little more weight on my body. I started getting out of that hospital bed. And before I knew it, I was in Bethesda on the 21st of January. I was in a 3-week coma. By the time March 21st rolled around, I was going to the next hospital. So it's amazing how God worked through me to give me that strength to get out of that hospital bed. And all I had to do was just start looking at life differently. And going from that point to Richmond, Virginia at the VA, I'll always share. There's a couple stories there that I just, it's just like today. Like I never let one bad day turn into two. Like what can I learn from that one bad day to not let it happen tomorrow? I got to Richmond, Virginia, and I was still having a bad day, but I was having good days. But I had to go to my own physical therapy. I had to go to occupational therapy. I wasn't just in a bed where people came to me.
Right.
But every time I got in a wheelchair, I put a poncho liner over my lap, and I let that cover my amputations because I'm like, okay, well, this blanket's covering my amputations, and then they can't see that I don't have legs. But it got me out. It got me around people, and the more I started opening up and talking, I slowly started removing that blanket, that security blanket off my lap. I'm like, why do I got to be ashamed of these amputations? As I said earlier, maybe this is how God, you know, created me to be. This is who I am. I got to be proud of these things. And it's like that they motivate me every day because they make me remember where I was then to where I am now. And it doesn't matter where we are in life. I don't want to go back to that day again. That moment where here I am lying in bed, nothing, you know, nothing to do, weak, starting over. And
Right.
it motivated me, and it's just like little stories, little nuggets of wisdom. And I had a doctor that would come in my room every evening, and he would sit down and he would close his eyes or he'd cover his eyes, and he's like, Matt, you can't see me, so I can't see you. And just getting that trust. Like, he's basically doing his best to put his life in my shoes. And I respected that. And but again, like through all this, like Richmond, Virginia is close to where I went to high school. Walter Reed was close to where I went to high school. I didn't want to be close where I went to high school. I didn't want people visiting me because some days I was proud of who I am and what happened. Some days I wasn't. And I didn't want people to see that. So they asked me where I wanted to go to therapy, and I chose Center for the Intrepid in San Antonio. And I think for me personally, like to understand the true meaning of gratitude, that people have it a lot worse than you, but they're waking up every day with a smile on their face. Because if you know anything about the Center for the Intrepid and Brook Army Medical Center, I mean that's the best burn center in the world.
Right.
And here I am going through therapy with guys burned 70, 80, 90% of their body. And one time I remember going to chow with a guy, and I was just in San Antonio maybe for like 2 weeks, and he was burned pretty bad. Couldn't even open his Gatorade bottle. And he says, "Matt, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you stay so motivated or positive because I'd much rather I'd much rather be burned than blind." And that just like that hit home. Like this guy has everything in the world to be mad at, every reason to give up and quit. But here he is going to therapy every day, joking, smiling, laughing. And a few weeks later, when I stood up on my prosthetic legs for the first time, he was there cheering me on.
Mm,
I just, y- rehab had its good days and its bad days, and it had a lot of times when it sucked.
right.
And but you could gain so much from all of that, and the wisdom, the knowledge. Like looking back, and it's like there were a lot of people that got me from January 18th to here. And I think about all those people when I'm having a bad day, definitely including my family. But I think about all those people that worked tirelessly to keep me alive, to get me where I am, that next step. And it's like I'm too strong of a person. And like you said, I'm too hard headed and stubborn as a person to,
Right.
s- to basically just say, screw you all and give up and quit. Because I feel like I'm quitting on all those people. Marines don't quit. That's what kept me alive, the Marine Corps. And then I feel like in this life, I still have a lot more out there. There's still a lot more people hurting that need, you know, motivation, inspiration, encouragement. They need to learn to laugh and smile a little bit, and it's amazing looking at my life now, that full circle, the people that were with me early on in 2007 through my recovery to now here I am receiving emails and people coming to me, trusting in me that I changed their life or made them, take their own detour for the best. And
Mm,
and it's going through prosthetics, learn how to walk, going through the blind rehab center. I spent 8 months in Chicago learning everything I could because I wanted to reenlist and I knew I needed to operate the computers, braille, I need to do all this stuff on my own. And I got back from that, and then I did a baton death march in March of 2009. And I told my physical therapist, Once I do this, I'm putting my medical board in, and I'm going through the reenlistment process." And I did that. I mean, it was easy 100%, but
heck yeah.
I chose to reenlist, and I think it was March 23rd of 2010. I got the call that my reenlistment package has been approved, and by April 7th of 2010, I was in San Antonio, Brooke Army Medical Center, being sworn in for another 4 years.
Heck yeah, man. And so here you are, you did everything to get back into the Marine Corps, and like you said, you didn't want to feel like you failed any of the people that supported you along this journey. So you're more than motivated. I mean, hell, doing a baton death march is no easy task. If people don't know what that is, you probably need to look it up because it's not an easy task at all to complete. And here you are, you're trying to get back into the Marine Corps. Now April 10th, you got swore in again, and now you're still serving your country, but you're serving the country in a different capacity. And you're doing the things that you're doing, and you just keep inspiring people to um, never give up. Um, how do you what I'm trying to figure out the best way to word this. Um,
It's amazing because I feel like you know when I got my mind straight in 2007, like I wanted to live a normal life. That's why I go do these crazy things because I enjoy doing it. I don't go out and like I don't go out to show off. And I know when I go out and do this stuff, people are gonna be watching. People are gonna walk up and shake my hand and all this stuff. But I go out because it's for me. It's understanding that just because I lost my legs and my eyesight, it doesn't mean I can't live life.
right.
And and I'm not gonna lie, like all that is great on what I do, but when I got to but San Antonio, like I was a blind double amputee. I was smiling, I was joking, I was laughing. I was just like, I'm not a public speaker. I hated speaking, but like I started to be that Marine. Hey, oh, let the politicians or generals or whoever come visit us at this new state of the art facility. Let's give him the blind double amputee. Let him come over here. And it's like, and it's all of this stuff just started like lining up. And it's like, yes, like people are noticing it, but it's like I was fully focused on getting better, getting stronger, staying in the Marine Corps to fulfill the mission that I want to do. And, and it's like, sadly, like putting that pressure on myself, not wanting to fail, not wanting to quit. That's still, I'm trying to work on that today, but it's like, it still bothers me sometimes because it's like, at the end of the day, I'm like, did I do enough? Did I say the right words? Because at, at the beginning, all I wanted to do was just live this life, with the amputations, with the blindness. Like, I don't like using the word disability. I don't like using restrictions or limitations or any of that stuff. It's like, because you know what? My legs, my prosthetics are my legs. That's who I am, and it's
Right.
just, so having to battle all that, like, but I was focused on the people that were closest to me, that were walking the same path I was, the like-minded individuals. One thing I learned in the Marine Corps, and this is another story that I've learned from a physical therapist, and it's that lead by example mentality.
Mm,
Like, he told me one day, he was like, Matt, you don't see this, but when you roll into therapy every day, you get on the mat, you put your prosthetics on, you stand up, you walk out, you usually throw a joke at somebody, or you make a comment, you get a ball thrown your way, something happens. But you come in every day with a smile, motivated, ready to go to work.
mm,
And there's these young amputees that are laying on the ground, probably in the same condition that I was in, trying to figure out their own life. Are they ever going to walk again? Like, what's the next day like for them? What's the next hour like for them?
right.
They see a blind guy with no legs doing it. It gives them hope that, what, if he could do it, then I can do it. And it's just that lead by example. It's showing up every day, doing what you need to do, and getting the job done. And you know what? Getting the job done doesn't mean you get it done fully. Hey, if I learn to walk 5 yards today, then I want to learn how to walk 10 yards tomorrow. It's just putting one foot in front of the next, and it's just walking, getting better 1% every day. And learning how to walk. I didn't think it'd be very difficult. I mean, it's just putting one foot in front of the next. But when you can't see, it does make it a little more difficult. But
Oh yeah, for
I was
sure.
like, I was bouncing off the walls, not wanting to trip and fall, and all this stuff. And my physical therapist stopped me and says, Matt, whatever you do, just put one foot in front of the next and just walk. And that's where the whole, when I was on the Jocko podcast, he's the one that came with the whole just walk thing, because that's what life is like. One foot in front of the next.
Mm,
Almost lost my life on one wrong step. You know what? But it's that one step in the forward direction is the direction I want to go. I'm
mm,
not guaranteed that one step. I'm not guaranteed the next hour. I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. But what can I learn in this moment right here to get better, to make this step better, so I'll be ready for whatever comes my way? It's
mm.
just all about that just walk mentality and putting one foot in front of the next.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have gone away from that mentality that tomorrow's never promised. And like you said, the next step's not promised, the next hour's not promised, and the next day's not promised. And I learned that at a very young age. My brother died in '94. He was
Mm,
diagnosed with pneumonia at 10 years old. Um, for a whole month, they said it was pneumonia. And then March 3rd of 1994, he passed away that night. And it's just like,
mm,
tomorrow's not promised. He was 10 years old.
mhm,
He should be here now, but he's not, and you just have to, you got, like you said, one step forward. You just got to keep pushing forward. And here you are. Like I said, the first time I met you was at the Moog Mile event up there in Georgetown. And man, it- just seeing you do the course, because like the first time I caught a glimpse of you, you were already on the course. And I was like, who is that guy? and I think Mark was with me, and he goes, "That's Corporal Matthew Bradford," and I was like, "Man," because you were doing you had the ammo can, you were going up. I think you were going up to the first exercise, which was the tire flip there, and you were just rocking and rolling, and then we sit there and watch. You went to the next exercise, which was the box jumps. Now, granted, you had people helping you, but that's because you couldn't see the box, so they
Yeah.
were helping you do the box jumps. And I was like, dude,
That's a pretty
that's
high
just
jump too. That was
it, it definitely was. And I was like, dude, that's just so motivating. And and we went and toured the course and you were still doing your thing, and then you grabbed your, the 35-pound rucksack, and you were running doing that course. And I was like, holy cow. And you did not give up. And there was other people there that, healthy as a horse, but they did give up. And it's like, man, if that don't inspire you right there, you have a Marine that is now blind and a double amputee, and he's running this course. And it wasn't an easy course by any means, because you had to go up the hills, then back down the hill, then back up the hill. I think 3 or 4 times you had to do that. Sorry, people just got home and my dogs are going crazy upstairs.
it was definitely a lot more difficult this year than last. And Troy, you commented on him earlier. He said that was a 35-pound pack, and pretty certain it was well above 35-pound pack. But I feel like through that I've learned in all this, even going back to my deployment, like I mentioned earlier, like when we left our fob, or if we were just in our fob, like we didn't know if this is going to be our last day. We didn't know if we're going to get mortared, or if we're going to go on patrol, we're not going to come back. So it's like you got to learn to cherish those moments. And a lot of us, in this day and age, it's like you sense any kind of like sh- you know struggle or anything gets difficult, they automatically just quit. They give up, and it's like sometimes pushing through you know that factor is like it gets you to where you want to be. And like I tell you what, like no matter what I do, like obstacle courses or bike rides, like I'm thinking in my head, and this sucks. This hurts. Like just say it. It's like that little demon on my shoulder. It's like, just say it, just quit, just give up, Matt. But then it's like I never let those words go from my head, you know, out of my mouth. I did a
Right.
bike ride, a century ride a few years ago, and I was riding with somebody, and we were close to 100 miles. And I told him, I'm like, the only way that I'm getting off this bike and I'm not finishing this race is if I pass out and I have to get an ambulance.
Mm,
Like I will finish this race. Same with the Baton Death March. If I can't walk across that finish line and these legs don't suction and they don't stay on, then I'll crawl. Like
mm,
I don't quit. I don't. And that, going back to that Baton Death March, which in 2009 was like I did 10 out of 14 miles, and I was impressed because I honestly have only been on my legs from for a large amount of time throughout the day, 6 or 8 months.
right.
So here I am going out walking 10 miles, but as I sat down and said that I'm done, like that's the first thing in my entire life that I've ever quit on.
Mm,
And yeah, like people, oh well, you got excuses. I'm like, no, like again, I, these amputations are not going to be an excuse for me not to live life, to go out and do
right.
things. So it motivated me to everything that I do in this life to prepare my body, prepare everything. When I go do this stuff, and 10 years later, I went out and did the Baton Death March and walked all 14 miles of it.
Mm,
And it's just I don't. I have a friend that says I'm too dumb to quit, and that's basically what it is. And it's just, and if you notice, I wear a Kevlar. The
yep.
reason why I wear that Kevlar, I do that on every Marine Corps marathon, bike ride, whatever it is. It's because when I put that Kevlar on, I'm back in the fight with my battle buddies, my brothers.
Mm,
It's to honor and recognize those who cannot wear that helmet anymore. I'm not going to quit on them. Like I'm going to push through. I'm going to realize that, hey, this is going to hurt tomorrow, and I'm going to feel some pain. But you know what? That pain is not greater than the pain of saying, hey, I'm done. I quit.
right. And that's what a lot of people don't. The pain that we deal with on a daily basis, it's temporary. But
Hmm.
if you quit on something, you're going to have that pain for the rest of your life. And a lot of people don't have that mentality. Even like my daughters now, they're 17 and 18, and that's something that I instilled in them long time ago, that you don't quit, you don't give up. If you sign up for something, you complete that mission, whether it's sports, whatever you're doing, you complete that mission. And I think a lot of the younger generation, um, they don't have that instilled into them. Their parents don't give them that. And Gunny says it's the participation trophy uh, mentality, and it's just like I see that because, like I said, my girls have never quit on anything that they've started. They've completed that mission, and I wish a lot of the younger generation would have that. And there is a comment from Troy. He says, Bradford, that ruck was precision Wade, is what he said.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. But it's amazing with that ruck, and it's because last year I carried a 19-pound pack to honor the 19 that were killed at Mogadishu. And like I told Troy, I told Sam, I'm like to me it wasn't I could carry the pack. It was more of my above knee prosthetic. I didn't know if it could handle the weight of
Right.
an extra 35-pound plus pack on. And so I let Troy let me borrow his, and I started putting that on, and I'm like, this ain't that bad. My leg's doing pretty good. And I mean, me and my wife would walk up and down the street here. Like I put it on in the garage, and I would do laps around my counter, just to get my body comfortable with wearing that pack, because I haven't worn that much weight since Iraq. And
Right.
so now it's like I've even 2 months after Mogadishu Mile, I joke with my wife because I call it leg day. And she's like, Matt, your leg day is different than other people's leg day. For me, my leg day is putting my legs on to go out in the garage, do some pull-ups, do some push-ups, and I put that pack on. And it's like, and I mean, again, I got it. People think that you need to go to a fancy gym, you need to do all this stuff. It's like, no, like it's all right here. Like here I am circling my kitchen counter, for 30 minutes just to get in like a workout. And it's
Mm,
like it doesn't take much. And you know what? I feel like I've gotten comfortable wearing it. Like I'm looking forward to like, what's next, going a
right.
little further with it, and it's just it opened up. And that's what I'm all about. Like I don't like doing the same stuff over and over again. I get bored. I like to push myself. Like, a few years ago I did a bike ride, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. Let me do something a little bit harder. So I did a century ride. And then, oh, actually, the first time I did a bike ride was a Seattle to Portland. It's like 204 miles in 2 days. I did 160 of it or something like that. I actually backed it up with Mount Rainier. So I tried to attempt the Mount Rainier, but after doing a bike ride, I had blisters on my leg, and I was just like, it wasn't
Mm,
possible, And then the weather kicked us off the mountain. But 3 weeks later, here I am in my mind. I'm like, I want to do a tandem bike ride from Ashland, Kentucky to Fort Campbell. Middle of August, and
ooh,
it's 407 miles, and on my birthday, which happy birthday. But it's just like I don't. Yeah, it's fun to do the 5K, but I want to do more. Like
right.
I don't want to get stuck in the bare minimum. I don't like getting stuck to the easy stuff. Like I want to push it a little bit further because it pushes, who I am, my grit, my strength. It challenges me harder. And I feel like a lot of people today, it's like they're so stuck on the couch. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this, but it's like they never get off the couch to go do it. And uh,
Right.
I am guilty because I have a lot of friends that are like, Matt, we can't tell you no. And I feel bad because I could hear it in their voice, but I'm like, because I know what it feels like. Like, yeah, the start line, you're all excited, you're all happy. Like in between the start and the finish, like, yeah, there's good times, there's bad times, there's gonna be times it sucks. You might hurt yourself. But I tell you what, when you cross that finish line, knowing what you just went through and what you did to get there, like they said at Paris Island, the quickest way off this island is to graduate.
Yep.
It's about the journey, and that's what I love most is the journey. Not so much the start, a little bit of the finish because I'm exhausted, but it's about the stories, the wisdom, the knowledge. Same with therapy, going from January 18th till now. Yeah, like it sucked January 18th, but and it's I'm living a good life and I'm blessed right now. But it's that in between, and the dash poem. It's all about
Mm.
like how you live your dash.
Oh yeah, for sure. Gunny's in chat. He just joined us. He said, "Good evening, gents." Um, and then Troy said, "Live broadcast from Devil Dog Fountain up next." Next, yeah, I agree, Troy. I think we need to do a live broadcast from Devil Dog Fountain. That would be, I think that would be amazing. We'll have to get Matt to come over with us and do a live broadcast from there. So your motto: no legs, no vision, no problem. You live that every day. I mean, here it says, um, you run marathon, you do races, you do rock climbing. You reportedly climbed 7,000 feet. You've gone skydiving, you've gone surfing, you do some hunting, fishing, and more. Here you are, um, living life to its fullest. You're not letting now you said something a while ago that kind of resonated. You said disability. You don't like saying that word. There's an organization in Richmond, Kentucky, or Richmond, Virginia, called Beyond Boundaries. And
Hmm.
what they do is they take veterans out. They take uh, people with other abilities. That's what they don't say disability, they say other abilities, out into nature, whether it's kayaking, fishing, whatever. So they not just the veteran community, but people with other disabilities as well. And here you are, you've you've went, like you said, from January 18th to current, that dash in between, your journey that you've been on. um And I don't foresee you stopping anytime soon. I think you're just gonna keep pushing on and motivating people out there, and going around to the VA hospitals and stuff like that, and motivating, um, service members who have been injured in the line of duty. Um,
You,
and
you know the Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I was gonna say, here you are. You got honored with the Spirit of the Corps Award by the Marine Corps, Coordinating Council of Kentucky in 2014. Um, it's an award that recognizes your courage, your resilience, and your commitment. In 2018, you were at the State of the Union address by the then President of the United States. Um, you've where does Corporal Matthew Bradford go next?
Like I thought of this earlier, like going back when you said like the box jump, you had people around, and in life I've learned that no matter how old you are, even when you're a baby, you always need someone else. Like I don't do any of this stuff by myself. I put a lot of trust in the person I put my left hand on that will walk through these peaks of life, the ups and downs, this journey. Um, it's just I feel like for all of us, we need that circle in our life. There's a lot of things in this world right now that we can get mad at, that we can get, a lot of division. But you know what? There's a lot of things in this world and this life that we could look positively at.
Mm,
Helping each other, encouraging each other, being compassionate and kind towards each other. And it's just these are things values that I grew up on that were taught to me and probably taught to you and taught to all of us is like hold the door open for someone. And it's like what can I teach my daughter and kids today so they could grow up and pay it forward. I don't like I'm going to seminary now and I've enjoyed it so much. And people ask me like, what do I want to do with that? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. Like 4 years, God's gonna tell me what's next.
mm,
I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna keep loving this life, being blessed every morning when I wake up. I just we're given this one earthly life. Like, why not take advantage? Why not live it to its fullest? There's a coffee shop I go to, and it's here in Lexington. It's called McLeod's Coffee Shop, and you know they call them VIPs, but a lot of those individuals are dealing with some kind of like disability. And I realize this now. since I don't have legs and I can't see. Like, a lot of people look at us and like, oh well, just set them over there and leave them alone. But a
Mm,
lot of us want to live life. We don't want to be pushed aside. We want to be put out there to where we could help others, where we could live life. I've done the blind rehab. Like I travel by myself. I'm here alone for the whole week while my family's gone. Like I don't need someone like a nurse. I just need given that opportunity to go live this life. And all of us that face some kind of challenges today, we just want to live life. We want to live a normal life. And you know what? 2007, I told myself that's the life I want to live. And I want to have strong enough people that are to my left and my right, my wife, my kids, and we're going to walk this life. And hey, if you want to join us, come join us. You know what? Because it doesn't matter what you lost or what you deal with every day, you could still live life.
I love it. No, dude, that is probably the best outlook on life that anybody could have. I tell my wife all the time, "Hey, God's leading this journey. We're just stewards of His. Um, we're just stewards of Him. We do what He tells us and what He puts on our heart, and that's what you're. That's the journey that you're on right now, and
It,
it's
it,
amazing,
yeah.
amazing to see, brother.
It's all about, God doesn't look at you outwardly, he looks at you inwardly. What kind of heart do you have? And it's like, I'm, I love those that I'm around. I love living this life. And it's just like a few stories real quick. I don't know what time it is, but I did an event in 2000, and, I don't know, 17 or 18. And I made a social media post and I got off and somehow a few days later, I got an email from a stranger. I don't know how she got my personal email, but she says, Matt, you don't realize this, and I don't know you. You don't know me. Probably never meet. But I was a huge fan of Toby Keith. That's what the event was. And after I saw your post, I Googled how you live your life. And if it wasn't for me Googling that on how you overcome your injuries, and I'd committed suicide.
Mm,
You know, Reading that in the middle of the morning while I'm having coffee just brings tears to my eyes. And going back to that just walk mentality, like a guy after the Jocko podcast emailed me and was like, I'm overweight. I'm dealing with cancer, all this stuff, can't even get out of my bed. After hearing your podcast, I bought your Just Walk shirt and I realized not today. He's like, I got up and I went from bedroom to bathroom, bedroom to kitchen, bedroom to living room, bedroom to porch, to the mailbox around the neighborhood. And before I knew it, I lost all this weight. And then I went to my doctor's appointment and I was cancer free.
mm,
It's not saying it's like, this is going to fix everything. But when you start thinking positively, when you start getting up saying, not today, I could do this, then things are going to change. And, again, that full circle, like there's a lot of people out there, that are observing how you handle life, how you look at life, how you live life. You might not know them, you might know them. If they see a guy that's dealt with all this stuff, or if they see a guy that's just helping others, being compassionate with a smile on his face, hey, again, maybe it's going to be like, if he could do that, then why can't I? It's all about
mm,
paying it forward, and that's just, again, we only give one earthly life. Why not make the best of it? Turn the news off, quit with the division. It's all about just loving the person to your left and right.
mm. I know, brother. That's amazing. I love that. It is about loving the person to your left and right, and um, like you said, I don't watch any news. My wife gets so mad at me. We had a discussion. She was watching MSNBC last night, and I'm like, "Why are you watching this crap?" And she goes, "Why? Because it's MSNBC." And I was like, "No, you're watching news." I said, "I don't
Mhm.
care what channel it's on. It's crap. They all lie to you. They want to keep us separated. They want to keep Black Americans against white Americans. They want to keep Mexican Americans against everybody. They just want to keep us all separated. And as long as we, the people, stand up and say, 'Hey, you're my
Mhm.
brother. I don't care what color your skin is. I'm here to support you,' and vice versa. And the America would be a much better place.
Exactly.
it's still the greatest country on the earth. I don't care what people out there say. It's still the greatest, still the greatest country on the earth. Um, and if we, I feel the tide changing. Like, so we go to church pretty regularly. My wife goes every Sunday. She serves, and this generation of children have slowly, over the last, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, slowly started turning to God. And
Mm,
it's just amazing to see. And I think that people are waking up and realizing, hey, this is the path that I need to be on. And I think that's going to help eventually. It'll eventually outweigh the bad. Because everything is to keep us divided and stuff here in America right now. They want us to hate each other and not see what's going on. So yeah, I think you hit it right on the head, my brother. But unfortunately, it is 8 o'clock, or actually 11 minutes after 8, and I could probably talk to you for another 3 hours because you're just amazing to talk to, and you're such an inspiration. I'm hoping that somebody who watches this now or listens to it later or whatnot, um, your story resonates with them because, like you said, tomorrow your next step's not given, your next hour's not given, and tomorrow is not guaranteed. So you just got to, not today, just get up and walk.
mm.
I love it, brother. I mean, you are amazing, my friend.
Thank you so much again for having me on, and I look forward to maybe when Sam gets back a little more healthy, and we'll be praying for him. That I'd love to jump on here with you again and um, get you out there for an event next time.
Oh yeah, you're definitely going to come back. We're definitely going to make that happen, Gunny. If you're still watching, we're going to have Matt back on, whether it be, probably won't be this year. Probably at the beginning of next year, we'll get you back on. Um, and hopefully, I'll see you at some of the events coming up in the near future. You don't live too far from me, so my daughter's at EKU in Richmond, so you're not far from her either. So
Sure,
we
my
will.
son goes to school there.
Oh, nice, nice.
Uh,
Yeah, we'll
yeah,
definitely have to get together, my brother, and whether it's just to hang out and just chit chat. I'm still working on an AZN scope for you. Me and uh, Colonel's been talking about that, and hopefully I can find one. I got a lead, but I don't know yet. I know we were trying to get it for your elk hunt in November, but unfortunately that didn't come through. But I'm hoping at the beginning of the year I'll have one for next season's hunting season for you. That way you ain't got to switch them back and forth.
yeah, we're doing a little doe hunt this weekend in Anderson County. So, and then Colonel's got a fox that keeps showing up on his land, and that's talk about my next mission to
There
take
you
that
go.
fox down. So
Heck yeah, man. You need to have it stuffed and put right behind you. I think that'd be pretty badass. So
I'm gonna make my wife a hat with the tail.
there you
She
go.
could look like
There you
Daniel
go.
Boone or something.
I love it. So Mr. Robert Bananas, I think I said his name right. Banas. He's over on LinkedIn. He said, incredible story of continued service. Thank you, is what he
So
just said, Matt.
thank you.
But brother, I do have to end the show. I do want to say thank you again for coming on and hanging out with us. It's always a pleasure to see you and to get to talk to you. I can't wait to do some more catching up and watch your journey, brother. I mean, it's amazing. It's inspiring.
Well, thank you again for having me, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, you're welcome. And Gunny says Amanda will love that hat. All right, brother. I'm gonna
Gee.
drop you down and I'm gonna end the show, brother.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Corporal Matthew Bradford. If you don't follow him, go to Facebook, look up No Legs, No Vision, No Problem. Make sure you give him a follow there and follow his journey, man. He's just so inspiring. Um, I man, it's just amazing to see. And when I was out there at the Mogue Mile, Kentucky event in October on October 4th, and to see him do that course uh, was phenomenal. I mean, if it didn't motivate you, I don't know what would. Um, and he had his group of people there with him, helping him, guide him through the course, and um, just the dedication. His wife was there. She's phenomenal. I know that's his rock. His wife and his kids is his rock, and the support that he has is just inspiring. So go check out No Legs, No Vision, No Problem, and learn more about Corporal Matthew Bradford. Um, but unfortunately, it is that time. We do got to end the show. Gunny, hopefully you get feeling better, brother, and uh, get to break out of that hospital soon. Um, man, you're not alone. Listen, guys, don't let the dark days win. You know, you're out. We're out here. There's somebody that's always out here for you. This right here, in the silence of your struggle, remember, though unseen, you are deeply held in the hearts of others. You are not alone. Right here. This is something that's been going on a lot, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on just in veteran community in general. The uniform may come off, but the bond remains. And together we heal, we rise, and we carry each other forward. We've talked about it numerous times. Right now, there is a divide between combat veterans and non-combat veterans. We all signed our name on that dotted line. And if we keep that divide, we can't carry each other forward. We can't heal. We can't rise. So stop the divide. Whether you're a combat veteran or non-combat veteran, you still served your country. Hashtag be somebody's stranger. Listen, we talk about this on every episode of Homefront Sit Rep. Listen, we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. So be someone's stranger today. If you're out and about and you see somebody and it looks like they're having a bad day, go up to them, say, hey, how you doing? And if they give you the red flags, I'm okay, I'm hanging in there, I'm living a dream, ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? But you have to be ready for that conversation, because it could be a 5-minute conversation, could be an 8-hour conversation. You have to be ready for that conversation, and listen, and don't try to fix them. Sometimes we just need somebody to listen to the struggles that we face on a day-to-day basis. So just sit there and listen, and then interact if they want you to interact. You'll see the cues, but just sit there and listen. And then it takes a village. Listen, we as humans, we work better in groups. It's been that way since the dawn of time. We've always had that herd mentality. So it takes a village. And like Gunny says, man, open up your contacts. Scroll through on your little cell phone there. Scroll through and just randomly hit somebody's name. Call that person. If they answer, talk to them. Say, hey, how you doing? I've been thinking about you. If they don't answer, leave a voicemail. Say, hey, it's Willis. I'm just calling to check in, man. I haven't heard from you. Hopefully you're doing all right. And then hang up on that, and then do it again, and see until you do get somebody on the other end. You never know. You might save that person's life. Big shout out to our partners, Heroes Media Group, Adam Bird with Heroes Media Group. He's been amazing since day one. So go check out heroesmediagroup.com. Reese Across America Radio. Go check out reacheacrossAmerica.org/radio. Homefront Sit Rep is on there Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern. That's Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern. Then Military United podcast streams. Elite Engraving, who did our amazing hat right here that I got on the top of my head. They are phenomenal. Small veteran-owned company in Campbellsburg, Kentucky. Wife and husband duo, both veterans. They do all kinds of engraving and hats. They do a little bit of everything. So go check out Elite Engraving. Big shout out to sameflagsameoath.com, who did our shirt. Uncle Sam is wearing it back there. It says Marine It Down on it. It's got the Homefront Sit Rep logo on one side. It's got the American flag on the other sleeve, and on the back, it's got the Got Your Six Culture bullseye on the back. So go check that out. And also go check out homefrontsitrep.com. You can actually find our merch there, the hat. There's a link to the hat and also our shirt there as well. So go give sameflag.sameoath.com a look at. And then also want to give a big shout out to Valor Coins and Pins. Brent and Brian Casey are amazing humans. They are the grandsons of Herschel Woody Williams of the Woody Williams Foundation. Go give Woody Williams Foundation a look at, and also Valor Coins and Pin. And then I can't forget RDC Shoe Company, man. Darren Davis with RDC Shoes. I wish I had my pair down here, but I don't. They are so friggin' comfortable. So go check out RDC Shoes as well. But other than that, man, it's about that time of night. Like I said, Gunny, get feeling better. We'll talk to you soon, brother. But like we always say on Homefront Sit Rep, stay safe out there. We got your six. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find Homefront Sit Rep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your six.